Okay. I think we're live. Hopefully. If it says excellent connection, that's how you know it's good. So let's begin. What's up, guys? We're now doing the continuation of the Spyro the Dragon live stream walkthrough, and I was out for a bit because of a sickness, and it's the big C virus that everybody was afraid of all those years ago. Thankfully, I've only, well, not thankfully, but I've had it. This is my third time getting it. So, thankfully, it was not as bad as it was initially, which is good. But, yeah, I had to prolong this because my throat was not nice to me at all. I had to air out all the cough, all the sneezes, all these other things. But I feel like I'm in a good enough spot right now to continue the rest of the game. So. Today we'll be continuing with Dreamweavers plus Nasty's World, so get pumped. Should be good. I'm going backwards. I believe for Dreamweavers it requires a certain gem amount, if I'm not mistaken. Like I've said in the previous parts, I always play this game 100%. Never not done that, so I've never really known what the stipulations are for each of the homeworlds, except for maybe like the first three. But I think this one's dragons, if I'm not mistaken. It's a certain amount of dragons. Let's see. Oh, it said it in the last part. Oops. But that's okay. So let's go to Dreamweavers and hopefully finish the rest of the game. I'm gonna try to finish this game tonight. It's just Dreamweavers and then Nasty's World, so we'll see how quickly we can do that. I would say the hardest stage that I'm not looking forward to is Lofty Castle. I know people love that stage, but no matter how many times I've played this game, I still get stumped on exactly where to go. So we'll see if I can do that fine here. Oop. But yeah, guys, I've been dealing with just the COVID sickness, really, and it's a lot, honestly. Because you can't go into work. I had to work from home, and even when I did work from home, it wasn't very good because, you know, when you have to train a bunch of new recruits for a little bit, that can be very difficult if you're sick, because you basically have to talk for 2 hours, and talking for 2 hours with a throat like this is one of the worst things in the world. And you essentially have to pause every now and then just so that you can breathe properly, because if you don't, then you end up choking on your own phlegm or whatever. But anyway, enough about that. No more sickness. Let's talk about Spyro, because it's favorite purple boy. I love Dreamweavers. This is like my favorite homeworlds. All the dragons here are very relaxed and calm, and they sound wise and stuff.
Welcome
like this
to
guy.
The Dreamweavers, young one.
Welcome to the
While chasing
Dreamweavers.
Nasty's minions in this world, you must expect the unexpected and prepare for what is not there.
I love it. They're just cool guys, you know. They sound like wiser dragons and stuff. And the homeworld itself is just gorgeous. I think out of every homeworld that was remade in this game for Reignited Trilogy, this is the one that got the best job. I love Dreamweavers in Reignited Trilogy. It's so beautiful. The homeworld itself is really beautiful. The levels themselves are just as awesome. The color palettes are really good. Everything about them, man. They just did a really good job with Dreamweavers. The music in this homeworld is so good. All of them, dude. They're just awesome. Dreamweaver's homeworld is probably my favorite homeworld theme in the game. It's just amazing. It's so good. I just love Stuart Copeland's traditional bass lines and drums and everything like that, man. He just kills it. Almost every song in this game has that traditional bass, drums, electric guitar, and I think organ. That's the other one that he likes to use a lot. Oh no, I got squished. That's not good. Yeah, so those are the main instruments that he likes to use. Also the triangle too. Triangle is awesome in a lot of these songs. Yeah, the music in this Music in this game, it's so good, man. I love the music in this game. I listen to this music, like, you guys don't understand. Out of all 3 soundtracks, this one's my favorite. Like, the first Spyro game. It's just, it goes so hard. Like, I mean, obviously the other games go hard too, but this game in specific, like, with each individual instrument that it uses, it just doesn't stop, man. It's just so good. Yeah, the drums go hard, the bass goes hard, electric guitar is super hard.
Spyro.
You know,
Nicely done.
nicely
I'll
done.
be done when I've toasted that nasty Nork.
If you guys see me lean away from the mic, it's because I'm clearing my throat, so I apologize for that. But gotta do what you gotta do if you're still recovering from crazy sickness stuff. Aw, man, I meant to make this guy smaller. I'll come back here later. Excuse me. So the way I usually do this stage is I end up back here and then I just do the ice level first. So I should probably do that. I need to get this guy. Who was the dragon I freed? It's that guy up there, right? Here, I'll do this. I know I said I wouldn't die in the walkthrough, but I already died once before, so it's okay. I just need to get back to that cannon. So let me go ahead and do that. Back up here. Yeah, sorry. Normally I get that guy, but I completely forgot. So I gotta go back up here and do the cannon thing again. Get these 2 guys. And one more. But yeah, I love the music in the other games too. It's just the instruments that are used in Spyro 1 particularly is, man, it's so good. It's lively, it's bombastic, it's magical. Not that the other 2 soundtracks aren't. It's just the way Stuart Copeland uses these specific instruments in this game is just amazing. I love it. It's so good. The electric guitar in this song specifically is just beautiful, man. It's so good. It's one of the things in Reignited I was not a fan of at all, and some of you probably might know this already, but I was not a fan of the music in Reignited Trilogy at all. I think almost every single track that was remade, quote-unquote remade in that game, is absolutely inferior to the original. Like, not even close. There's not a single song in Reignited Trilogy that comes even remotely close to any track, at least in Spyro 1. Spyro 2 and 3, there might be maybe 1 or 2 in here and there that I thought were pretty okay. But for the rest of them, man,
you see in this world are invincible.
nah.
But that does not mean they shouldn't be attacked.
Sounds all right to me.
Sounds alright to me. Yeah, none of the songs in Reignited I appreciated at all. I think the only one that came close to being as good were things like, you know, I would say the boss themes were pretty good in Reignited. Gulp's Overlook was really good. I love that remix. I liked the... Oh, what else? Am I missing gems? Yeah, I am. Oh, that's right. That's the... I have to go to the back way. I liked Gulp's Overlook Reignited remix. That was pretty awesome. I liked... what's another one? Boss themes. Crush's Dungeon was okay. Not too bad. And there's one in particular. Buzz's Dungeon. Buzz's Dungeon's remix in Reignited, really good. I wish they went that hard for every other track in the game, but they didn't. So, yeah. Buzz's Dungeon. Then again, that music track is really hard to mess up. Because it's... Yeah. I think the composition is just really good to begin with. So, yeah. But Buzz's Dungeon, peak Reignited music. So good. Everything else, though, not feeling it. Nowhere near as good. Let's see. I think it had to do mainly with, like, their music choices. I'm sorry, their instrument choices. Or the sound font, specifically, what they used. The sound font that they used, I think they tried to replicate the same instruments as they used to sound. The problem is they lacked all the punch and all the strength of how each instrument would sound whenever they would play. Specifically, the drums and the bass. The drums and the bass were the in my opinion, the most important instruments in the songs in this game. Specifically the first one. The first Spyro game. The other instruments are just as good too, but it's those in particular that were like, okay, you gotta make sure those are correct. Guys, I never failed this mission. That was bad. Like, really bad. So, let me try that again. Usually I try to get as many chests as I can, but I don't really try to aim for all of them. Oh, that's what I should have done. I should have gone behind maybe. Let me turn around here. There you go. Get that one. This last one. Which one am I missing? I'll come back there later. Usually get these first, and then I go back to get the chests. This guy. Gotta go fly up to here. I always found these fights funny. They're pretty much the same Norks from Artisans, but they're not wearing. It just looks funny because it looks like they're not wearing pants. These guys. I don't know, something silly. Let's get this guy here. Boom. Boom. Okay, just two more. Okay, we're doing okay. I just have to go back now and get the chests and the lanterns. So I'm telling you, it's the electric guitar, man. It's just so good. I don't know what Stuart Copeland was cooking when he made the soundtrack. And the rest of the chests are right here, I think. Let's get this here. Alright, there should be one more left. Yep, right there. Cool. Alright, that wasn't as bad as I initially thought it was going to be. Usually I mess up on this one. Even though I said at the beginning I normally don't mess up, but point is, I don't mess up more than once. If I do, it's on an off day. I think I just messed up there because I wasn't paying attention. But yeah, the sound font in Reignited is just weak sauce, man. The bass doesn't sound as punchy, the drums don't sound as punchy. The electric guitar they replaced with an acoustic guitar for some reason. I don't know whose idea that was to do that. That's a terrible thing to do. And yeah, I wasn't feeling it. I didn't like that they made those choices. Excuse me. Alright, let's do Dark Passage next because it's right there. I didn't even know. I didn't even know those guys walk up to you like that. That was scary. That's funny. Dark Passage is one of the greatest music tracks in this game. It's the beginning. And then the electric guitar again. It's just so good, man. I'm telling you that none of the Reignited tracks came anywhere close to this, man. I don't know what kind of sound font they were using or whatever, but man, they dropped the ball on that. Some people like it, and that's okay. Some people think it's a nice, fresh take on all the music tracks, but nah, man. Not a single song in that soundtrack was better than anything in the original games. It was just good. One thing I noticed for some of the music tracks in this game, they do the same. I don't know if it's called a motif when you use the same like notes or rhythm for something. So the dun 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 dun. That's obviously the title music.
But you should watch the fools.
I'd rather flame the fools.
Now you're thinking.
I think that's my favorite dragon. Like honestly, it's just so perfect. The line delivery is just so good. But yeah, the whole dun 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 boom boom. That's the main theme for the title screen. And Copeland, genius that he is, was able to incorporate it in some of these music tracks, which it took until I was much older to notice it in all these songs, and it just blends seamlessly with all the stage themes. He was able to incorporate them into the songs in a subtle way, so that way it doesn't sound repetitive. Oops, almost got picked by that guy. I know some people think that the music for the first game is a bit on the repetitive side because honestly, there's all of the songs in this game have the same basic instruments. So, like I said before, the electric guitar, the drums, the bass, right? Shoot, hold on a second. Yeah, the electric guitar, the bass, the drums, the organ, and the triangle. Those are the main ones. And every song in this game has those instruments, so there's not much like variety in it, which I guess is a con. But if I'm being honest, guys, I don't care. The instruments are so good. I don't know, man. Like, I don't care that every song has the same instruments being used. If they're being used right and in a really impactful way, then that's what matters, man. And every single music track in this game is gorgeous. All of them. There's not a single song in this game I don't like. I would say the closest song I would say is a song that I'm not huge on is like Terrace Village. But every other song in the game, amazing, man. I can listen to every song in this game like 500 times because it's so good.
You know, I think you just might be the dragon to defeat Nasty Nork.
That's me, all right.
That's me, alright. I love Spyro's attitude in this game, man. It's so good. Alright, so this is where people get tripped up sometimes because there's not really anywhere left to go here. But if you look down here, there is a passageway that you can glide to, which obviously if you're looking from this perspective, you wouldn't be able to really see that unless you're like right on the edge, or if you move the camera like this. One thing good about Reignited is that they introduced the right stick analog movement, which is the standard for pretty much any modern day game and stuff like that. If you guys want my honest opinion, I think it's leagues better to play these games with the camera being moved with the trigger buttons. The reason for that is because, number one, there's nothing else that you would use the trigger buttons for in this game. This game isn't one of those modern day titles that have like 500 different buttons that you gotta press. It's really just jump again to glide, the flame button, circle, and charge. That's it. Very simple moveset. That's why I prefer a lot of older games, just because you don't have to worry about memorizing a bunch of things. But yeah, so those trigger buttons, they're not used for anything else except the camera movement. So not only is it primarily used for that, there's nothing else you can use with that other stuff. But if you're trying to... Whoa, that was close. Oh, no! Get back here. Does this guy stay? Hold on. This guy. These guys are kind of tricky because they're very quick with firing that fireball thing, so you just gotta be careful. But yeah, so the two reasons you want to use the trigger buttons. Number one, you don't use the trigger buttons for anything else. First reason. Number two, when you're trying to move the camera while moving... Whoa, what was that? That's funny. When you're trying to move the camera while you're moving around and while you're jumping, you can't really do that, can you? Right? You can't do what I'm doing right now if you had to use the right stick. Because your thumb is focused on the right stick. Your thumb's not on the X button to jump, right? So if I want to make a movement like this as I'm moving around, you can't do that if you're using the right stick. So in my honest opinion, I think the trigger buttons are the best buttons to use for camera movement, in my opinion. Then again, this was a time where camera movement was limited to just left and right. So you couldn't look at things like, let me get this guy. There you go. So if you want to look up and down, you're limited to holding down the triangle button so that Spyro can go in this first person view. So that you can look up and down that way, like this, right? You can't look up and down with those left and right triggers. It's only left and right like this. Which to me, it's not really a big problem, honestly. Because when I'm playing a platformer, my focus isn't to look up and down on places. I just need to look left and right. Because left and right, that's where it shows me where all my enemies are. And that's it, really. This isn't really one of those games where I have to stop for a second to admire all the
Spyro.
graphics or anything.
I'd love to help you
so.
catch Nasty, but I'd really hate being trapped in Crystal again.
Don't worry. The only one who's gonna be trapped is him.
Yeah, so for Spyro, classic Spyro, I much prefer the traditional trigger buttons. Don't like using the right stick at all. When I play Reignited Trilogy, you bet your butt I only use the trigger buttons to move the camera around. If you want to use the right stick for the camera movement, that's fine. That's the modern day standard for video games, is to use the right stick for the camera. But if I'm being honest, I'd much prefer that my right thumb is focused on character actions, character-specific actions. I don't want my thumb to be focusing on the camera movements. I'd much rather delegate the camera movements to something that's not using, that's something that's not being used. In my case, it's my index fingers. My index fingers are just resting on the back of the controller, not being used for anything, right? But my thumb is focused on the face buttons. That's why I prefer doing that. Yeah. If you guys have ever played Mega Man X, obviously those games don't have camera movements, but in regards to the dash button, which every Mega Man X game has, some people like to use the right shoulder button for dashing. Some people like to use the circle button for dashing, and some people like to use double tapping right for dashing. I'm someone that likes to use L1 for dashing, and the reason for that is because my left index finger is not being used for anything, right? The only thing my left hand is doing is moving the left analog stick, my thumb, right? All my other fingers on my left hand are not doing anything. So best to use it for something that has to do with movement related tech, which is a dash in this case. I think that's way more efficient than using the right shoulder button. Because if you think about it, if you put it on the right shoulder button, what will happen is you're focused on now 3 different things on your right hand. You're focusing on the dash, which is on the right shoulder button. You're focusing on the jump, which is on the right side. You're focusing on shooting, which is also on the right side. And that's just too much for one hand to memorize. So I much prefer to have the dash on a hand that's focused on movement specifically. If it's not focused on movement, then why have it there? You know, so that's it. That was Dark Passage, and let's get out of here. Love the music in that stage. It's so good, man. I listen to these songs on repeat in my car on the way to work. And it's mainly because I just love instrumental music and video game music in general. I don't really listen to anything with lyrics, really. If it's anything with lyrics, it's like worship music or something. But that's the closest I'll get to doing that. And it's not that modern day music is all trash. I just think that 90% of it is. Because if you think about it, modern day music talks about one of 3 things. It talks about money, sex, and power. That's it. That's all modern day music talks about. It's one of those 3 things. Now, there are exceptions to that, obviously. Some songs talk about family. Some songs talk about true love. You know, some songs talk about God. Some songs talk about themselves and their own journeys and things like that, you know. But things like that are kind of rare compared to the... Well, I'm talking more so like the popular stuff, you know. Most popular music nowadays has to do with one of those 3 things I mentioned, which... Not a big fan of that, you know. Money isn't everything. There's going to be a point in time where we're going to just disappear from this world, and all that money that we once had, that we valued so much, is going to disappear. You know, it's going to eventually get into someone else's hands. So, money isn't everything. Money doesn't last forever. And same thing with those other 2 things. Sex is one of those most talked about things on the internet, and what's unfortunate about it is we live in a world where that kind of intimacy that you can have with somebody is very much abused. It's abused a lot. That kind of stuff results in a lot of divorces. That kind of stuff revolves around broken relationships, broken marriages, and I don't know, man. Like, money, sex, that's not everything. You know, stuff like that only lasts for a moment, and yeah, I think everyone's time should be better focused on things that last. You know, I say that as I'm playing a video game, obviously, right? Video games are not gonna last either. This is gonna come a day where either these things won't be accessible to us anymore, or we're just not gonna be here alive to enjoy them. Right? So I think our time should be spent on things that actually matter. And In my case, things like that involve, of course, Jesus, which we've been talking about in the past two
Fairies are always on your
live streams.
side,
Right?
Spyro.
Things like that have to do with something that's eternal. Those things always last. Those things will never fade away. You know? Jesus said something along the lines of, "What does it profit a man to gain the whole world, but to lose his own soul?" And that, to me, guys, is profound. You know, all these things that I just mentioned that we've been talking about so far, all these things will go away. Money, sex, power, you know, all these things that we have in this modern day life, they're not going to exist at one point in time. What will continue to exist is our souls. And if it's true that God exists, if it's true that we've sinned against him and we need forgiveness,
Thank you for releasing me.
that's something that we need to deal with right now. Like 100% right now. If it's true that God loves us and he provided a way for us to be reconciled to him, which is through faith in his son Jesus, then we got to make sure that we're standing right before God. Because like I said, the one thing that will last, that will remain, is our souls. So we got to ask ourselves the question: when the day comes when God requires our soul of us, will we be ready to stand before him? That's the most important question you can ask yourself. It's not about when I can get rich. It's not about how many women can I lay with or sleep with. It's none of that, man. Because at the end of the day, those things are just momentary things that will only fulfill us for a moment. And once that moment ends, what do we have left? Nothing, right? But with Jesus Christ, we're reconciled to God, and God is eternal. He is the eternal source of all joy, of all love, of all peace. These are things that never fade away. And the reason they don't is because God exists. Jesus exists. He provides these things to us in a way that is everlasting. Those things never run out, guys. So if you're watching this right now and you feel like maybe you're stuck in a place where maybe you're struggling with those three things I mentioned. Maybe you got yourself into a situation where you don't really see a way out of it because of those circumstances, you know. Maybe you're going through a broken relationship right now. Maybe you're looking for a relationship right now, right? I can tell you, me personally, I've always had a hard time with understanding the true meaning of like love, right? Trying to find love in this world is, for some reason, it's hard. And by that I mean romantic love, right? Love from, you know, family members, friends, things like that. Those things can always be readily there for you. But specifically romantic love. Romantic love is something that just happens. You just happen to find it, and it's one of the greatest blessings that you'll ever have. Me personally, that's one of the main things I've struggled with, is just trying to understand that something like romantic love, that's something that you have to wait on. That's something you have to pray for.
Spyro's
Because not every person that you find that you think is going to be worthwhile is the right person for you. Maybe outwardly they have all the quote-unquote check boxes, but if we're talking spiritually speaking, like, will this be somebody that will support you in every aspect of your life, both physically, financially, spiritually? I don't know why I died there, sorry guys. You know, all these other needs that person needs to help you with, right? It's not just about how well you get along with the person. It's not about whether or not the person finds you that, what am I doing, guys? You're good. It's not about whether the person likes you or whether they find you attractive or any of these other things. The most important thing is, are they able to spiritually and emotionally support you, right? I speak of this, of course, as a guy, right? Ladies, if you're watching this, you got to find a man that's able to lead. And I know in the modern day context, that's something that nobody wants to hear, because everything's about empowerment and independence and not needing no man, you know, as the saying goes. But guys, listen, if we're being real honest, like, no, you may not need a man. However, if you were to find a man to be with, romantically speaking, their role is to emotionally and spiritually lead you. Okay? That doesn't mean that you have to be, what's the word for that? Robotic. That doesn't mean you have to be a slave and that you have to obey every command that the guy gives you. That's not what it's about, right? It's about leadership and servitude. It's about commitment to the other person, right? If you truly love somebody, the main thing that a man should be concerned with is loving for and providing for that person to the point of being willing to sacrifice their own life for them. That's what it's about. And from the man's perspective. From the woman's perspective, it's about being emotionally and spiritually available to support her husband. It's about support. One leads, one supports, right? Not saying that the man can't support the woman in some way. If anything, being able to financially support a woman, being able to spiritually lead a woman. Obviously, that involves support, right? But the role specifically is leadership and servitude, and that's what makes it important. Like I said, we live in a world that tries to say that it's backwards, that it's the woman that's supposed to be commanding the man and making all the decisions and all these other things, but from the beginning, it has always been the opposite. It's the man's job to be able to financially provide for the wife. It's the man's job in order to emotionally support his wife and to love his wife and things like that. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of men today that are willing to step up to the plate and be a man and to lead his wife and to love his wife. And it's sad, honestly, because like I was saying before, I've struggled with finding a love like that, finding romantic love. And I've always been put in a position where it's like, wait, that's confusing. What's confusing about it, specifically? I'm more so talking about the roles of each individual if they were to be married, specifically. Right? What's going on? Kid a Bear, welcome to the live stream. I appreciate you being here, man. Meanwhile, I'm here stuck and lost in Lofty Castle because I can't figure out where I'm supposed to go. Okay, right here. This whirlwind takes you to the other side of the level. So that's... I'm always indecisive on which of these two paths to take first. Sometimes I take this path, sometimes I take the right path first. Doesn't really matter. But eventually you have to come back here anyway just to get the rest of the gems. But yeah, guys, if you're one of those people that has a longing to be married to somebody or to find romantic love, just know that you need to be spiritually ready for that. I know we live in a world that it's very easy to just jump into things, to jump into relationships just because it's like, oh, like they're the funniest guy in the world, they're the perfect, they have everything that I could ever ask for, things like that, you know. People like to describe that as like the quote-unquote honeymoon phase and whatever, when you're first starting to get to know the person. Initially, it just seems like they just have everything you could ever ask for, everything you've dreamed of, things like that. I can tell you from firsthand experience, I've met plenty of women that were in that category, that had everything that I've been praying about, everything that I've sought for in somebody, and slow burner type of guy. You see, that's exactly how it's supposed to go. You need to give enough time with the person, or so I'm okay with being with myself right now. That's good, yes. I think people don't prioritize that enough because our culture tries to tell us, hey man, if you're not married, there's something wrong. Like, if you're not with someone right now, that's something wrong. Like, you need to get married, you need to get out of the house, you need to be willing to be there for your spouse or whoever it is that you're that you want to be with. So if you're not even thinking about relationships right now, that's a good thing, because if you're able to work on yourself first, that'll make all the difference. If you're not spiritually ready yourself, then the last thing you need is to go into a relationship. Like right now in my case, like I'm not even looking, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm seeking for or even praying for to be with somebody right now. Because right now in my stage of life, in my walk with God, and where I am right now with everything, there's no way, absolutely no way that I can spiritually be there for somebody. Because I'm working on myself right now. Yeah, so life's a bit more complicated than that, yes sir. I'm missing a couple gems, and I have no idea where they are. So we're gonna spend a little bit in Lofty Castle trying to find where the heck those 2 gems are, because I don't know. Oh, right here. Yeah, there you go. That answered that question. That's it, guys. That was Lofty Castle. Like I said, I always get lost here, so let's get out of here now. But yeah, if I were to be honest with myself, I would say that I'm not in a spiritually ready or emotionally ready spot right now to be with anybody. And that's why when I pray to God and I ask God for guidance and assistance with things, I hardly ever bring up a potential wife anymore. Like, I can't even remember the last time I prayed for a future wife. Because I know right now where I am currently spiritually, emotionally, it just wouldn't work at all. And like I said before, I've met women that meet all the criteria, all the check boxes, all the list, all of the, the relationship with God, relationship with Jesus. They read their Bible every day, they pray every day, like something I would look for in a traditional woman. But eventually, down the road of getting to know the person, I would figure out some things about either myself or about the other person that would show me very clearly that it just wouldn't work at all. So, if anyone's here right now that's considering being with someone or marrying somebody or is in a relationship right now, take all the time in the world to try to get to know that person. Okay? I would say the max amount of time you should probably be, quote unquote, in the dating stage is like, I don't know, like anything more than like 4 months is, in my opinion, too long. Because if you think about it, the more time you spend with the person, which I hope is what you're doing in those 4 months, trying to get to know the person on a personal level, a spiritual level, the things that they love, the things that they hate, how they treat their relationship with God, what their calling is specifically for ministry. I think that's one of the most important details. Because if your 2 ministries don't match up and you get involved with that person's life, eventually something's going to give. Either their relationship with you or their commitment to that ministry or that calling that they have from God. One time I dated somebody who was... their calling specifically was to be a missionary, which for those of you that don't know, in the Christian walk, a missionary is somebody that goes to other countries to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ to people. I'm thoroughly convinced that God makes everybody with a specific heart for things. So like, for example, that person that I was with, that girl that I was with, she had a strong heart for people of other countries, for reaching people in third world countries that are maybe struggling just to survive, to find hope, to find freedom in things, things like that. Right? In my case specifically, I'm someone whose heart is more towards being a pastor role. So a pastor, as you guys know, is someone who guides the church, teaches the church, supports the church, spiritually supports the church, things like that, right? That's more so where my heart is for that stuff, which requires you to, stay in one location and not go to other third world countries, obviously, right? The pastor is meant to stay with the body of Christ within one set location, and if you're in the middle of doing that, then you have almost no room to go to other countries to do stuff, right? So if I were to remain in that relationship, one thing would have given, either my relationship with her or her relationship with God. And I decided that the wiser thing to do is to not come in the way of her relationship with God. because I know where my passions are and where my calling is, and the last thing I wanted to do was to get in the way of that. Last thing you guys want to do is to get in the way of someone's calling with God, right? So if you guys are committed followers of Christ and you want to be one day married to somebody and to start a family and things like that, those are the things that you need to consider, because we're talking about a person's entire life, and last thing you want is for you as a person to get in the way of the things that they've been called to do. Last thing you want to do. So yeah, right now I'm in that stage where I'm not emotionally ready, I'm not spiritually ready, I'm just trying to grow closer to Christ, so that way when that person comes, whenever God decides to bring that person, I'll know when it's that time, and I'll know when I'll be ready, right? So things like that are no rush at all. Me personally, I'm 27, turning 28 this year, and every time I tell this to people, the first reaction is, "You're still young." That's the exact thing they always tell me. You're still young. You have so many years left, you know. So, and they're right, honestly. I could be focused on a bunch of other things right now while I'm still young, while I still have the energy to do things. So many other things I could be focusing on. So, I say that as I'm playing a video game, right? But, you know, the reason I'm playing a video game while talking to you guys about all these very important things is because I love you guys. You guys are my people. You're my subscribers, right? Like, you guys are awesome. So anything that you guys need help with, spiritually, emotionally, like anything I can pray for, just let me know, and I'll do that. One of the things that I've been trying to grow in is my ability to connect with and love other people. You know, so one way I can do that is with talking to the people that follow me on YouTube. You know, that's the prime way to do that. And I use this as an avenue through which I can talk to you guys and just be real with you guys. I think authenticity is something that's sorely missed nowadays in regards to really everything. And I don't know. I feel like I can use things like this to really connect with people, which is why I'm here. So, there's nothing wrong with streaming video games. It's about how you spend it. Exactly. Yes, sir. Video games can be used as a time of fellowship with other people that you love, which is awesome. It can be used to connect with people in a way that you wouldn't be able to otherwise, like the way I'm doing right now. You know, able to talk to you guys on a very personal level about things while doing something that you guys enjoy, which is playing video games, right? Like,
You've become a master of the supercharge.
Master of the Supercharge.
Great work.
Especially in regards to Spyro. My entire channel, like most of my subscribers, the reason they even follow me at all is because of Spyro related things, you know. So what better way to connect with the people that are subscribed to me than by playing their favorite purple dragon, you know. And I enjoy this game. I love playing this game. It's one of my favorite things to do. I play this game at least, like, I don't know, 3 times a year. You know, because things like nostalgia and things that I used to do growing up, I just I can't get rid of it, man. It's one of those things that just sticks with you for forever. So good thing about this fairy is that she gives you a permanent super flame for the rest of the stage. So I try to get here first, so that way I don't have to keep going back and forth with these metal guys or with the supercharge and things like that. So definitely get to this room first. But yeah, nothing wrong with playing video games. I would say the only time where it gets like into a gray area is when it has to do with like more mature content, you know, like things like gore and blood everywhere and limbs flying around, and you know, some more of the provocative stuff too. Like, I would say that's more of a wisdom issue though, because the problem with engaging with that stuff a lot is that the more you engage with that, the more desensitized you become to the whole thing. So like the more you engage in stuff like, I don't know, war stuff, or like a bunch of blood and a bunch of gore, that kind of desensitizes your mind to the reality of those things, because those are very real things. Like, war is a real thing. Shooting people is a real thing. Murder is a real thing, right? The more time we spend playing something that sees that as something normal, something that's an objective that you need to do, the more you just start to see those things as just whatever. You know, which, things like that we shouldn't take as whatever, right? Because death is a tragedy. It's a very terrible thing that exists in our world. Things like murder and war. These are terrible things that exist in our world right now. Those are things that are not fiction, right? They represent very real things that happen today. Right? I know some people like to use the messaging and advocacy on it. Yeah, right, exactly, right? I think if you were to play a game like, I don't know, like Call of Duty, right? The entire point of that game is for you to shoot people and kill things, right? The more you engage in that stuff, the more you'll just start to see that stuff as kind of whatever. Right? The next time you see someone die or is murdered by something, you're just gonna be like, it's just life, right? When in reality, we should be taking those things seriously because they're real life things, right? The reason, for example, Spyro is kind of okay is because this is all just fantasy stuff, right? Not really quote unquote murdering anything. The only thing I'm murdering are these metal guys and these wizards, right? They're not like human beings or anything. But in a game about war, where you're engaging in like quote-unquote photorealistic people in photorealistic places, right? I don't know. I think after a while, you just start to be desensitized to it. And being desensitized to something that's considered evil, I don't think is a good thing. You know? Like, we can all agree that murder is wrong. That war is a tragic thing that exists, right? So, if we're playing all these video games that kind of just portray these things as something like kind of whatever, I don't know, like, it almost, and I don't want to use the H word, but it almost seems like hypocritical, you know? We claim to be against things like murder and war and killing other people and revenge and stuff like that, but then we play games that normalize these things. I just don't get it, you know? If you guys see it as not a problem, that's okay. But, I don't know. I like to think through things in a more logical way. Using, like, reason and objective truth to things. So, like, when I see things like that, and the person claims to be a person of, you know, good ethics or good morality, like, don't go around murdering people. Don't do that. That's just not right. And then they play a video game about that exact thing. I don't know. It just raises a what's the word for that? It raises a question mark in my brain. So. And obviously, somebody that plays that kind of content, that doesn't automatically mean, like, you know, that they are okay with that stuff. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it's interesting that they don't agree with that stuff, and yet they play something that normalizes it. You know what I mean? So, not saying that the person playing the game agrees with the things that are going on in the game specifically. I'm just saying, like, if you don't agree with it to begin with, why play it? I don't know. Thankfully, with games like Spyro and all these other retro stuff, like, that wasn't really the main focus, really, of games back then. Like, I grew up with things like the PlayStation and, you know, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, like these mascot platformers and stuff. Most of these are just adventure games. They have nothing to do with, like, all these darker, more mature themes that most of the modern games that we play nowadays have, right? So, because of that, I'm able to enjoy these games without any kind of second thoughts about things, you know? Spyro is just a cozy time. I love Spyro the Dragon. Such a fun game, man. Specifically the first game. I know people love the second game a lot and the third game a lot. I love the second and third games because they're still Spyro, right? But this game in particular, the first Spyro game, there's something magical about it, man. Like, I've mentioned in previous videos the little, like, smaller details about this game that I really like. Like, for example, Spyro's charging animation, I think, is just so cute. I don't know, like the way he, like, like, he kind of, like, shakes a bit, like, left and right as he's charging. I think it's cute. He doesn't really have that in the other games. It's more like a straightforward charge, where he doesn't really move left and right in his movements. But in this game specifically, he does have that little shake, and I don't know. I think it's really cute. It just seems like he's a little kid, you know, which he is. So I think that kind of stuff is charming. In the second and third game, Spyro's more like he's more like an annoyed like teenager almost, you know. He has to deal with all these saving all of Avalar stuff when he just wants to have a vacation, you know, or like.
Thank you for releasing me.
In the third game, oh, now I gotta save all these baby dragon eggs that were stolen from me, and that's more work that I gotta do. Right? Although in the third game, he was kind of like adamant about making sure the job was done throughout the entire game, which was interesting because in the second game, he just didn't care about having to do all this busy work. He just wanted to have a vacation. He didn't care about all these other guys, you know. But in the third game, like, you could see kind of like the growth that he had with that, in that he wanted to take these things a little more seriously. So throughout the entire game, his main focus was making sure that he got all the dragon eggs, and he would stop at nothing to make sure that he got them and that he fulfilled his mission. That's why when he saw that Hunter was, you know, going off being with Bianca instead of helping him find the dragon eggs, he found that to be very bothersome because in his mind, he's focused on the mission, man. The entire reason he's there is to get all these dragon eggs back. Meanwhile, here's Hunter focusing on, go figure, a romantic relationship, right? And takes his eyes off the mission, right? So it's crazy how that ties into what I was talking about earlier, about the, you know, make sure that the, that's sad. Make sure that the person that you're with is focused on the same mission that you are on. Right? If they're not, then something's gonna give. Either the mission that you're on, or the calling that you're focused on, or your relationship with that person. Right? The best way to not hurt somebody is to ensure that that person's gonna be the right one. That's what the dating scene is for. You know. But if I'm being honest, even the dating scene, I think, is kind of like more of a modern day thing. Back then, I don't think dating was even a thing. Like, you would just spend time with the person. You wouldn't even call it a date. You would just get to know the person either through somebody else's family or through other means, you know. And through that method of getting to know them, that's how you would get to know the person more, and their likes and their dislikes and things like that. I know I'm missing these glides today, guys. It's really embarrassing. Let me try to get back on there. Yeah. But yeah, so Spyro's main thing about in the third game is trying to get all these dragon eggs. That was his mission, and that was his main focus throughout the entire game. And obviously it was ruined by another guy focusing on something else. Go figure, you know. Not that what he had was something bad, obviously. Romance is nothing bad at all. However, if it gets in the way of your mission, that's when it becomes an issue. Because you can't have one or the other. Right? You gotta choose between the two. Alright, let's see here. Ooh. Come here. There you go. Uh-oh. Doing a really bad job today with these guys. Get up, get up, get up. Whoa. These guys are creepy, man. The way they reinterpreted them in Reignited, honestly, it was not too bad. I think it was pretty good. The other thing I didn't like was the larger, freaky-looking guys. I don't know if these guys have an actual name. I don't think they're Norks, are they? Right? They don't look like Norks. They just look like nightmares or something. I don't know. But in the in Reignited trilogy, the way they did those bigger nightmare-looking things, where they're like holding up something below their feet or something like that, they put dresses on them, which I can kind of see where they got that idea from, because that's kind of pretty much what they look like here. Kind of looks like they have like a dress on or something, but I don't know. I thought it was too campy. I think I prefer this. Like when this guy's chasing after me, you see how he's like holding his whatever at the bottom. I guess it's kind of implied that it's a dress or whatever. I don't know. Doesn't look like they're wearing any clothes. But yeah, their interpretation of Reignited is kind of campy for me. I don't know. It's like a pink dress. I'm like, that's kind of weird. What's this guy going? Hopefully I'm not missing any gems, man. Like, the problem with playing a game live is you're just kind of going through the motions. So like, at this point, it's just muscle memory, guys. Like, if I miss a gem, it's because I wasn't fully paying attention. Please tell me this is a 5. Okay, good. If it's an increment of 5, I know I'm in the right place, because the gems after this point they're all 25
Any
gems.
advice
Something
before
like
this battle?
Advice. A wise dragon once told me, aim high in life, but watch out for flying boxes.
Huh?
Watch out for flying boxes. Jacques here, I don't understand. Every time I play this level and I fight this guy, I always get hit by at least one box. And that one box is the last box that he throws at me. That's the one I always get hit by. I don't get it, honestly. I don't know if it's just... I don't know why I'm missing these glides today, guys. Oh my gosh. I'm just not focusing. Let's see. Let's see if I get hit by this box. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Let's see. I didn't. Okay, good. Then again, I didn't because he didn't throw it. Right? Maybe if he threw the box, I would have gotten hit by it, but I'm just terrible at avoiding it. I don't know why. Alright, hopefully these are the last gems here. Let's watch that number go up, baby. 500. Very good. Yep, so we got all the dragons, got all the gems. We finished Dreamweavers. Honestly, that was quicker than I expected. We've been only streaming for like, what, a few minutes? How long have we been streaming for? Oh, 56 minutes. It's been 56 minutes already in this live stream? What are you talking about, man? I feel like I just got here. That's crazy. I think that's every level in this year, so let's go to Nasty's World now. Let's see if I can speedrun it, because honestly, Nasty's World isn't really that long. There's North Cove, Twilight Harbor, Nasty Nork himself, and then Nasty's Loot. So that's four levels as opposed to 5 for each homeworld. So, well, technically speaking, this might be a bit longer because these are full levels. They're not like speedway levels, flight levels actually. Flight levels are pretty short, so I don't really count those as full levels. But every level here is a full stage, so let's make sure we do them quickly. Honestly, though, Twilight Harbor, I think, isn't particularly long. You just gotta make sure you know what you're doing. I think that's it for now. So let's get together. It's so funny. Some of the dragons that you free earlier in the game are frozen again here.
Hey, didn't I already free you?
Didn't I already free
You're
you?
in Nasty's world now, Spyro.
For a different voice actor, too.
You are the dragon who must defeat him.
Bring him on. I'm ready.
Reach the exit in each of Nasty's lands. Then you can challenge the Nork himself.
We've reached endgame, guys. Out of all the music tracks in this game, the two that I think are on the bottom of my list in terms of enjoyment is Terrace Village and this one, North Cove. Not that it's a bad song. I don't even think Terrace Village is a bad song either. They're good, but they're nothing like the other ones. They're just okay songs, I think. So, it's a nice stage theme. This theme has a lot of fans, I think. People like this though. Me in particular, I think it's just fun. It's okay. The stage itself is also kind of annoying because there's a lot of stuff like this where there's a bunch of gaps here, like drop-offs like this, where you have to go up places. Which can get confusing because if you're not on the lookout for the gems, you might miss a few. So I have to be extra careful here to not miss anything, because if I miss something in this stage, forget it. That's gonna be, you see, like these 2 gems here, like that would have really sucked if I got to the end of the stage without getting those, right? So I have to be extra careful here, guys. So if I end up not talking much, that's the reason, because North Cove, you know what's funny? I've always had a worry of missing gems in this stage, but I don't think I ever have. Like, I can't recall the last time I had to search the whole stage for gems or anything like that. So, but then again, it's probably because I'm really paranoid whenever I get to this stage, because I feel like I'm gonna miss stuff. So, Hopefully that doesn't happen in this live stream, because that would be really, really bad. Let's get this. Ooh. Burp. When will they learn? It's funny that these guys have like these boxers on. I just found that amusing. Yeah, so you see how there's like all these like dead ends here. Like there's a whole passageway back here, but there's nothing here to grab. And that's what bothers me. Because I'm like, if there's nothing back there, then why put it there at all? Like you're just trying to distract me. Let me get this here. Yeah, like I said, it's not one of my favorite stage themes, but I hum it anyway because it's a good song. So that's the last dragon. Latif.
Keep up the good work, Spyro.
We freed this guy earlier too.
I expect Nasty's really starting to worry about you.
I'd be shaking in my Nork boots if I were him.
The music tracks in the rest of the stages in this game are so good. They're so good. The one in the next stage that we're going to is probably my favorite music track in this game. It's so good. It's awesome. Do I usually get that box that's over there first? No, it's okay. I can get it from this side. Shall I get these things here? I just have to remember to get it. Remind me, guys. Make sure I don't miss that gem. Miss that chest. Okay, so I got this here. And here you go. Yeah. Sometimes I glide to this spot because I think that that's the only way to get that, but no. You can just grab it from here. Alright, so we got those. Let's go back here. Oh. Excuse me. Let's go over here. Oh, that's interesting. That gem almost got into that thing. What I like about this game is when the gems go off bounds for some reason. Like, for example, if I flame the goon and somehow the gem fell in the water or something, which in this game I don't think that really happens much. But in the second and third game, definitely. If the gem falls in the abyss somewhere, it just gravitates back to Spyro. I think that's genius level design. Or programming, I guess you could say. Because God forbid you have a gem fall in the abyss and you can't get it back, right? That would not be fair at all. Ooh. Noticing some slowdown in frame drops here. I don't know what's going on. Then again, my CPU right now has a high RAM usage for some reason. I think it's because I'm using Google Chrome for a lot of things. I really shouldn't be using Google Chrome at all because of supposedly if you watch videos about like what kind of browsers to use, supposedly Google Chrome is like the worst one you should use because supposedly it has a bunch of spyware or whatever. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll transition to Brave. People have been using Brave recently, which has its own dedicated ad blocker, like integrated within it. So I don't know. Maybe one of these days I'll make that transition. But for now, I'm okay with just using Google Chrome. The problem is I've been using Google Chrome since the dawn of time. So there's way too many things I have saved, like bookmarks and stuff like that I just really don't want to do again. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just lazy. I don't know. What do you guys think? Was I too close to that guy? I don't think so. Let's get this here. Thomas.
Wow.
Wow.
I never thought I'd be rescued, especially by such a little dragon. What I mean is, I always believed in you, Spyro.
You gotta believe.
Guys, listen. The way they did that in Reignited, oh my god. So bad. Like that line there where Spyro says you gotta believe is probably the worst line in Reignited Trilogy. It's so bad. Like, I don't know what kind of direction they gave Tom Kenny with that stuff, but man, it was not done justice at all. It was terrible. And what sucks is that I love that they brought Tom Kenny back to do Spyro's voice in that game. The problem is, whoever was directing the voice work for that game did an absolutely terrible job. with understanding the tone of the original trilogy in regards to all the voice lines and things like that. Not good at all, in my opinion. But that's why the originals still exist. You know, I can still go back to these games and not have to worry about anything being ruined because this is the original game. Right? What should I do with this? I don't know. Just do this. Perfect. I should have gotten do the other passageway first. That way I can have the key to open this. Let me do that. There's this middle passageway here. Come on, get them both. Get them both. Yeah, that's what I like. This chest here, you just gotta throw this thing at it. Woo. Here we go. Let's get all these gems here. Do you guys ever watch the speedruns of this game? There's a guy called Deoman who was the previous world record holder for this game. And man, the tech that these guys do with Spyro, man, it's just absolutely incredible to watch. I love watching Spyro speedruns. I think they're so much fun. I could never in my life be as good as a speedrunner of this game. Not at all. Yeah, I think I'll leave that to the professionals because there's no way I could ever be that good at this game. Maybe if I gave it enough time and practice, but the problem is, like I was mentioning before, you know, video games, these things will pass away one day, you know. So to devote my entire time and energy on something that's not even going to exist later on, to me it's a waste of time, right? You know, not saying that it's a waste of time for those that are speedrunning the game or anything, but it's just not for me, you know. What I tell you guys, missing gems, which is not good. So I gotta take a death here because I'm 90% sure there's no other way to get back to everything else there. So yeah, I still have the key here for some reason. That's interesting. Yeah, so I'm just gonna have to figure out where I went wrong. So let's scour through all this nonsense. Try to figure out where I messed up. Did I ever get the... I don't think I got the chest with the gems in it. No, I did not. Interesting. Okay, here, look at me here making mistakes, guys. This is why you're supposed to be paying attention. Anywho, we got everything we needed, so let's get out of here. I don't know why I didn't go back to get that. See what I'm saying? If you're talking while at the same time trying to play a game, right? Everything's just muscle memory. So it wasn't my muscle memory to come back here and get this, I guess. So what am I missing here? I'm not missing anything, right? There's North Cove. Here's supposed to be... Guys, what am I missing here? Is this Twilight? No, this isn't Twilight Harbor. What's going on? Why isn't this head opening? Why is there no dragon here? There's supposed to be a dragon here, right? Oh! Oh my gosh. Guys, I know exactly what happened. Okay, so you can't hit exit level. You gotta go through the return home portal. That's what you gotta do. So remember how I said that I have to I'm not very good at speedrunning, so that now is the time for me to prove that I'm good at speedrunning, because I gotta get out of this level. Because, my gosh, that's actually like super embarrassing, guys. I don't think that's ever happened to me before. I've never done that. Like that's the first time in my entire life I've ever played this game that I've made that mistake. And it's only because I missed the going back for the chest, the treasure chest. So, very sorry about that. Hopefully it shouldn't take more than a minute. If it does, that'd be really bad. I just gotta skip everything. Yeah, guys, I was sitting here like, how's this possible? Like, I've played this game 100 million trillion times, and I've never had that happen to me before. That dragon has always been there. Never had to do anything about that. So now we have to go all the way back to where we were before. Gotta get to the return. Oh, oops. I'm just messing up now. Come on. Yeah, there's plenty of rats in this level, but apparently I'm not doing a good job of finding them. Excuse me. Let's go back to the return home portal. It's literally right there. I think it's this direction. I love when he gets them both. It's like, ah, double shot. Got him. Okay. Now let's go through how we were actually supposed to do it. That's embarrassing. That's never happened to me before in my history of playing this game. The more you know. There you go. Now it's open. Right? Let me get these. Yeah, for some reason I thought this dragon was supposed to respawn, but no, I think that's after everything's completed. Are you ready, guys, for Twilight Harbor? This music track is my favorite song in the game. It's so good. Guys, I can't tell you how upset I was when I first played Reignited Trilogy, when they completely shamelessly removed all of the drum intros. All of them. There was a single song in Reignited Trilogy's terrible original soundtrack option that they included, which completely removed the song intros to Stuart Copeland's music. I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but that's what they did. Instead of just keeping it how it was in the original, which is the songs fading out and then starting over again. Nobody had a problem with that then. It shouldn't be a problem now. I think they just wanted to make it more, like, in the same way that they added the right stick for camera movement, they just wanted to make it more appeal to a modern day audience. So modern day music doesn't stop and then replay again like that. Everything is with a fixed loop, as it should be. Granted, even in the time where Spyro the Dragon came out, music did still have proper loops. Like, for example, Final Fantasy VII, that came out in 97, obviously. Spyro came out in 98, so it's not like that kind of technology was foreign at the time. It's just, that's how Stuart Copeland decided to compose these music tracks. And if that's what Stuart Copeland wanted to do, then all power to him. I think these songs are freaking incredible. All of them. And part of what makes them so special is those intros, man. Those intros that you wouldn't hear if it didn't fade out and then start over like it does, right? I love hearing the intro of these songs again at the beginning. I know, call me crazy, but it's awesome.
Thank you for releasing me.
Cosmos, we already freed you before. A lot of these dragons in the Nasties world are just reused dragons, man. It's reused models, reused names. There's nothing new about them. Except maybe their voices. Voices are kind of different. You got these gems here. Make sure all these rats are gone, man, because when you're doing the supercharge and you're coming over here, sometimes if you hit a rat for some reason, like Spyro's supercharge just stops. I can't remember if it was in the original or in Reignited where that happened. I'm pretty sure it's in this game. But yeah, just get rid of those rats there. That way nothing gets in your way of the supercharge coming back. I think they respawn anyway. I don't know. We're about to find out. Uh-oh. This guy. The electric guitar in this stage
Be on the
is
lookout
so
for
good.
North Commandos, Spyro.
Commandos.
They better be on the lookout for me.
But yeah, guys, what else is new? Right now, I'm in the process of looking for a new home, a place to stay. For my entire life, I've just lived with my mom and my parents and my sister. That's always been where I've been. That's always been my home, right? But now I'm at a stage in my life where I'm financially stable enough to move out and get my own place to stay, which is, honestly, I don't really know how to feel about it, if I'm being honest. I knew it would have to happen at some point just because of the nature of me being an adult already and now being in a prime position to do that. And I was like, well, now that I'm at that age where I should be out of here by now, and I have the necessary resources to support myself, I should probably do that. You know? So tomorrow, not tomorrow, what's today, Thursday? So on Saturday, which is 2 days from now, I'm going to look at some apartments to potentially move into, which is kind of wild, man. I'm not going to lie. Today we went around to look for some stuff to get for my new apartment. My mom was gracious enough to do that for me, and it was kind of fun, not gonna lie. Wow, that's really embarrassing. That never happens. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, guys. This is really bad. Let's see. Let's make sure this is up and go back. But yes, that's what I'm doing right now. That's the stage of my life that I'm in, and I don't really know how to feel about it, honestly. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm scared about anything. Not really. Just knowing and trusting in God that wherever He places me is the right place where I'm supposed to be. So, what's good though is I'm trying to look for things that are closer to my job, because right now I have to drive like how far do I have to drive now? Something like 35 minutes, 40 minutes to get to my job because of traffic and stuff. And I'm trying to find apartments that are closer to my job. If I'm closer to my job, it's less gas, less tolls, and that's better for me. What's good about my job though is it's only 35 minutes from where I live here, so I wouldn't be too far from my parents if I ever need to go back or something. You know, so. By the grace of God, I've been blessed with beautiful parents. They're amazing. They've helped me through quite literally everything. So trying to find something that's easier to be close to them with is very important to me. So we'll see how all that goes. Little by little, I'm starting to get to that phase in my life where I'm starting to do more adult things. I'm trying to do things more on my own, which can be scary, but you know, if your life is in the hands of the Lord, then there's no reason to fear anything. You know, so that's where I'm at. In Reignited Trilogy, they decided to create these guns into goo, which makes zero sense to me, because why in the world would they be working on a goo factory or whatever, slime factory? How's that gonna hurt anybody, man? Apparently it hurts Spyro and Reignited, but I don't think that's anywhere near as cool as guns. I don't know why they made that change. Well, they made that change just for censorship purposes, obviously, but I don't know. It's not like it's violent, you know, like you're not seeing blood everywhere or like Spyro's body parts flying around. So I don't think it's that big a deal. Guys, one of the best boss themes in this game. The music in this game slaps, man. I love every song in this game. It's so good. Out of all the final boss themes, I would say this is probably my favorite. Like, I love this boss theme more than I like the Ripto's Arena, which is also really good. And I like this boss theme more than the Sorceress's music. This boss theme's so good, man. Love it. I love the intro with the boom boom da ding. Sick. And the organ, man. The organ. Organ slaps, man. So I don't even know what instrument that is. Like, what instrument is that? Can you guys tell me? No clue. I'm going through here just in case, because last thing I want is to lose Miss Gems and Nasty Nork of all things. Because then when I get to the ending, I gotta go back in here, man. There's no way I'm doing that. Let's see. Where's the thief? Is there a thief in here? That's kind of weird. He's probably already at the end. There he is. Come on, let's get him in this corner here. Nope. Almost got him. Gotcha. Alright, so let's get back to this here part. This level can be kind of tricky because you're on these swindling passageways, and if you fall down there, that sucks. So, you gotta be careful. Get these chests here. What's this? I don't really bother trying to catch up with him because no matter how hard I try, I won't be able to catch up. So, because I gotta get these gems after all. Got the electric guitar back in this again, obviously. Like I said, in Reignited, that electric guitar is replaced with an acoustic one. And I'm like, no, man. That's not how you do Spyro music. Now, don't get me wrong, some songs have an acoustic guitar in Spyro. I think Zephyr has one, right? If I'm not mistaken. But that's it. I mean, I'm sure there's a few of them that have it, but most of the songs in Spyro are electric guitar. So the fact that they replaced all the electric guitar with an acoustic one is a crime against humanity. And also the organ in Reignited is super weak sauce, man. I don't know what sound font they were using for that. But anyway, not gonna spend the whole video complaining about Reignited Trilogy. Some of you might think that I actually hate Reignited Trilogy. I don't. I think Reignited Trilogy is a beautiful, beautiful looking game. But to me, that's all it is. It's just gorgeous looking. Gotcha. You know, it's interesting. Nork disappeared there, which is what happens to really all the other enemies in this game.
Sorry I took so long.
But for some reason, he's still alive at the end. Makes no sense to me.
Ganasty Ganor?
Ganasty Ganor.
Nasty Nork is toast.
So now there's order again in the Dragon Kingdom?
Well, mostly. I've still got some treasure to pick up.
What will you do next?
I'd say the sky's the limit.
Oh man, love it, love it, love it. I'm not sure if you can skip these credits. Pressing all the buttons possible and nothing's happening, so yeah. Obviously, guys, we're going for 120%. So far, we've gotten 100%, and that's why the credits are rolling, right? So technically, we've beaten the main game, but the one thing that's left to do is Nasty's Loot. So may as well use this time to air out all my thoughts on what I think of the game. Obviously, 10 out of 10. It's a beautiful game. The graphics for the time are amazing. The sound direction is great. Voice casting is great. Spyro sounds snarky sometimes, but that's the idea behind the character. He's a snarky little kid who just doesn't care about all these adults that are getting trapped in crystal. He's only doing it because he feels like it's the right thing to do. Right? So, music in this game, I can gush about the music in this game all day, every day. It's the best soundtrack in any video game ever, man. Right up there with Mega Man X, Final Fantasy VII, you know, best video game soundtracks of all time. Thank you, Stuart Copeland, for making such beautiful genius. Even the credits music, guys. Credits music, so good, so relaxing, you know. Fun fact, Clancy Brown, who did some of the voices for this game, He voices, I think he voices Mr. Krabs in the SpongeBob show. So there's that. What else? The game's not necessarily difficult in my opinion. I would say it's only really hard towards, I guess, jocks and like some of the harder gems are hidden in very obscure places that sometimes it might require a guide for you to figure out your first time playing. Treetops is a pretty difficult level for first time players. I've never had an issue with Treetops. I think Treetops, if anything, that's like the best stage in the game, in my opinion. Treetops. There's so many different pathways. Supercharge is such a fun mechanic. The music is amazing, right? So, I don't know. No sheep were harmed in the making of this game. A few Nork, but no sheep. So, yeah, I love Spyro the Dragon. This is out of all the Spyro games, this is my favorite one. It's just so good. So, let's free our last dragon and get the rest of these gems.
Nasty's ancient history now.
Lauren says,
So,
Clancy
what's
Brown
in the-
plays Uka
I
Uka
believe
from
this
Crash
is Nasty's
Bandicoot
treasure
3.
hoard, but the gate will
Yes,
not
he
open
does.
until you have found everything in the dragon.
He does a good job with that voice
Come
too. I think he
back when you
does
have reached
phenomenal job.
100%.
I don't think he voices them again in Insane Trilogy. At least I don't think so. 90% sure he doesn't. But yeah, Clancy Brown, awesome voice actor. Yeah, he voiced Uka Uka in Crash 3, which is another good game. If you guys haven't played the Crash Bandicoot series, do yourself a favor. Do it, man. Good games. All right, guys, Nasty's Loot endgame. So the idea with this is to just fly wherever you're able to, and the higher altitude you're able to get, the higher altitude you're able to fly and keep. So you just gotta get all the gems on the base ground level, and once you get everything, you gotta find out a way to get to the higher levels. Nothing complicated at all to do. Just gotta get all these gems. I would say out of the quote-unquote 100% levels, this one's probably maybe my second favorite. I think my first favorite is Super Bonus Round, just because you got more stuff to do. I love the skateboarding mission in Super Bonus Round in the third game. I think that's pretty cool. I know it's very difficult for some players, and they just hate it or whatever, but get good. I guess, I don't know. Skateboarding in Spyro 3 is flawless, man. Whoever was the head game designer and for the physics and the coding and things like that, like, props to you, man. You did an amazing job. Lex Lang is great also, yes. He is the Lex Lang. Wait, correct me if I'm wrong. Lex Lang played Cortex, right? Or am I misremembering? It's been a while since I've looked at all the people that worked on the Crash games. There's the door. I was like, where's the door? It's right there. Yep, Cortex. Lex Lang is really good Cortex. Yeah, I agree. I do prefer his original just a little bit. Just a little bit. But Lex Lang does a good job with Cortex. He did Cortex in, I believe, Twin Sanity, and every game after that, I think. So, yeah, he does a good job. Come on, buddy. Go. There you go. Alright. This one here. Boom. Okay. It's weird. I know I keep comparing this to Reignited, but in Reignited, whenever Spyro would start his glide in this level, he would do like this noticeable like downwards thing. I think that was just to make sure that whoever was playing the game didn't go higher than they were supposed to. I think that was their way of mitigating that, but in the original, you didn't need to do that. So, what's up? Let's go back in here. Yeah, like I said, the higher the altitude you go, the more, the higher you're able to fly, which is pretty cool. This guy is... Hold on a second. Let's focus on these first. These rockets I always miss for some reason, so let me get this first. And can I get that one at the top? I don't think so. I mean, I could try, but yeah, let me go ahead and get this first before I forget. We're playing Entranced. Entranced, is that that's the Game Boy Advance game, right? If I'm not mistaken. Could be super wrong about that. Gotta get this guy. Got him. Yeah, that's the Game Boy Advance game. I like the Game Boy Advance games of Crash a lot because the physics in those games are literally just the physics of the 3D games. They were able to keep the literally the exact same playstyle. The slide jump, the belly flop, I think, is in those games too. Spin, everything's there, which is really cool. The fact that they were able to basically make the game into a 2D, basically a 2D version of a 3D Crash game is pretty cool. All right, come here, you. Oh, the music in those games are great, from what I've heard of them. Yeah, very good music too. Come on, let's see if I can get this guy. No. That's one thing that the Spyro Game Boy Advance games didn't do well at all, is trying to keep it with the same similar formula as the 3D games. They did not do it well at all, in my opinion. Basically, I had this isometric viewpoint, which was very disorienting. The camera controls weren't the best. Then again, I've only played the first one, which is Season of Ice, I think. So, I heard it got better as the games went on, so I wouldn't really be able to know how much better they got. Come on, come on, come on. Why am I having a hard time here? Never had a hard time getting this guy. Come on. Got it. Very good. Yeah, out of all the End World levels, this is probably my second favorite, like I said before. Super Bonus Round is still the kicker for me. Let's see, let's get this one here. Woohoo! Let's get this. We have the key, right? I think. Yeah, we do. I do like that in Reignited Trilogy. It shows the key at the bottom right to let you know that you still have it. I know some people didn't like that because it was kind of in the way. But no, if anything, it's a good thing because it tells me that I got it. I don't have to pause the menu to check on it. Is there... Well, let's go back up here. There you go. Get this gem here. That's the hard part about this game. You don't have the gem finder in the original, where you click on R3 and it just goes and locates the gem for you. You had to suck it up and find the gems yourself in this game. So, find Spyro yet after Entrance. I heard that Season of Flame is really good, and Attack of the Rhinox is the best one. I think that's the consensus with that. I've never played them myself because I just prefer the original trilogy, but apparently they're good games. Go. And now I think I can get to this spot. Yep. Alright. Let's see if we got everything, guys. Flame, flame, get out of the way. Woohoo! It just feels right. Give it to me straight, Doc. There we go. 120%, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that number. Beautiful. Thankfully, we didn't have to go back for anything. So. Let's get out of here. Let's look at the secret ending.
Spyro the Dragon, you've defeated Ganasty Gnorc,
Ganasty
collected the
Gnorc.
dragon eggs, saved all the dragons, and recovered every bit of treasure in the Dragon Kingdom. How do you feel?
I feel fired up, Bob. And I'm happy for the dragon world, of course. I certainly wouldn't want to spend the rest of my dragon days butting heads with Nasty Nork and his weird minions.
What's a minion?
Never mind. You know what they say. For every good battle, you need a good adversary. And I felt that Nasty, in spite of his misguided nature, was a worthy opponent. Uh-oh. Here we go again.
Boom, boom, boom. Bro, like even the cutscene music in these games, so good. Like it's just the crazy hard boom, 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 boom drums, man. Like that just hits. It's so cool. Guys, we finished the game. It's exciting, right? Like I said, actually this game in particular, the first Spyro game, I didn't grow up with this game. Well, technically I did. I would play it at my cousin's house, and that was the only way I could play it. And they were in Puerto Rico, and the only time I would be able to play this game was when I would go to Puerto Rico for vacation, and I would get lucky enough to visit their house, and then also get lucky enough to let them play the game because their PlayStation was in the parents' room, which obviously when you're a kid you don't go in the parents' room, right? That's the adult room, right? So I never really got enough chances to play the PlayStation back then, but this was the one game I would play when I would visit their house, is the first Spyro the Dragon. So I never owned the game growing up, but I did own the second game and the third game. Those are the two I owned. The third game was my first video game ever, I think, that I ever played. I got that from my uncle back then, and also in Puerto Rico, go figure. And I played that game until until my thumbs fell out, man. I would never get past, I think, like Midday Garden. I would never get past that point. And if I did, no, I got to Evening Lake, and then I realized that a bunch of the portals weren't open because, go figure, I was a kid. I didn't really put two and two together that I was supposed to be collecting all these dragon eggs and whatever. So I would play the third game growing up, and the point that I would get to, it was Evening Lake, I think, and I never got past that part. So never grew up with Midnight Mountain. I know what the music sounded like because, you know, I would upload the soundtracks on YouTube and stuff, but it would never get to that point in the game at all. It wasn't until I think high school where I decided to get the a PlayStation for myself and to get all three games so that I can properly 100% them. That was in high school, and I did it by myself. I didn't look for guides or anything. Especially for the first game. The first game I tried not to use a guide because I just wanted to figure these things out on my own. So I didn't use a guide for it, and I was able to 100% it myself, just trying to figure everything out. So it was awesome. It was really cool figuring things out like that your first time going. 100%ing the games for the first time. It was especially cool 100%ing like the second and third game for the first time. That was like cathartic, or whatever the word is for that. Yeah, because as a kid I could never beat the games. I would get stuck on these closed portals that just wouldn't open because I didn't have all the items, didn't have all the gems, didn't have all the eggs. So I would just be stuck in certain worlds because I wasn't very good at the games, you know. So being able to complete the games in 100% as an adult, it felt great. I was like, man, that's something I never thought I'd be able to do, you know. So nowadays I play these games. I can play these games with one hand tied behind my back, probably. You know, I know these games like the back of my hands. All the secrets, all the gems, all these things like that. Sometimes, depending on the day, I'll have an off day and just forget where things are. It happens. Like, for example, in Lofty Castle, I always get lost there for some reason. I don't understand it. What's another level I always get lost in? Probably North Cove. North Cove, sometimes I just get lost in that too. But besides that, I think every level in this game is relatively simple to navigate and go through. Obviously, there's some exceptions to that, like Dry Canyon. Dry Canyon has that crazy sick glide that you got to do from to get to this one ramp that goes up to this one very well-hidden dragon. That I had to figure out on my own. I didn't use a guide for that, but eventually I just got this idea that so long as you just look around in your surroundings to look for things, you should be able to figure out where most things are. Yeah. The dragon in Haunted Towers, I think, was the hardest dragon for me. That's the one that required you to use the supercharge to get to. That one took me the longest time to figure out. Actually, not thinking back on it, I think that's the only time I used the guide. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm not all I'm cracked out to be. I had to use a guide for that specific dragon. I think everybody did, honestly. Even the one for Treetops, that one crazy hidden dragon that nobody knows how to get to, that's very difficult. Even that one I figured out on my own. You know, but the one in Haunted Towers, forget it. Because it doesn't look like there's any spot there to actually supercharge off of to get to that dragon. You can hear the dragon, the dragon shaking and stuff like that, but it sounds like it's behind the wall. So it almost makes you think that the game's trying to tell you that, oh, you gotta find a way to break the wall or something like that. But no, it's just, you gotta use the supercharge ramp to get to this one area that you've been to before. But because you have supercharge, you're able to jump at a certain angle to get to a different area. Which, yeah, it's kind of cryptic if I'm being honest. But that's really the only dragon in the game that gave me a lot of trouble when I first played the game. Nowadays, I know where everything is. You know, so. My first Crash game was Crash of the Titans for the DS. You know what's crazy? First time I played Crash of the Titans, it was the DS version. I played that game until the buttons fell off. You know. Then again, growing up, the games I would get were more tailored towards the things that I already liked. So I already liked Crash Bandicoot. So when I got a DS for the first time, I was like, oh, gotta get a Crash game for the DS. I'm not gonna get these console versions. What's up with that? Obviously, the console versions are the better versions, you know, but these DS and Game Boy Advance versions of games, they were completely different games, man. They were just nowhere near the same as the console versions a lot of the time. Obviously, because of the limitations of the console, right? But yeah, I would play Crash of the Titans all the time. Crash of the Titans, that was a goat game, man. I'm sure if I were to play it now, I'd probably have a different opinion. But yeah, I had to look up a guide for Treetops. I think the vast majority of Spyro 1 players, their first time, had to do that too. I personally didn't have to do it. I thought it was really fun trying to figure it out on your own. But yeah, I didn't need a guide for that. Then again, though, I would watch YouTube videos about the first game all the time. I would watch walkthroughs of the first game all the time. So maybe in the back of my brain memory, I already knew how to do it, how to get to the dragons, how to get to the supercharge ramps, things like that, just because I've seen content with it done already. So maybe that's why I was able to figure it out. But yeah, no, I think the one in Haunted Towers was the only one I needed a guide for, honestly. So but yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for joining me in this awesome adventure. For those of you that don't know, this was a 120% playthrough. We just finished the game. So if you're just tuning in now, God bless you. I tried to center these live stream videos around playing our favorite Purple Boy first game, along with talking about faith and Jesus and stuff like that. So in today's live stream, it was more so about relationships and knowing the right way to go about romantic love, and how if you're not emotionally and spiritually ready for something like that, then it's best to stay in that season working on yourself first. Because if you're not ready for a relationship, don't jump into it, guys. Not a good idea. not a good idea at all. If you're already in a relationship and you don't know Jesus yet, I promise you, the moment you trust in Christ, you know, no matter what happens in or out of a relationship, you'll still have peace and you'll still have joy. Okay. I've been through relationships where as soon as they would end, man, it would mess me up. Like, I'm talking, like, I would go days just crying and crying and crying. And, you know, and it's just that inward desire to be loved by somebody, you know, to be loved by, somebody who genuinely cares about you, that wants to check up on you and to spend time with you, you know. For me, I've always been a quality time kind of person, right? If I'm able to spend the whole day with somebody, just being there with each other and being around in the same vicinity as the person, like, I think that, to me, that's my favorite way of getting to know people, is through quality time with them. So, but yeah, I've been through relationships where I thought it was the next best thing. I thought that was it. I thought they were the one. And they would just come crashing and burning down because of either something that I had to deal with or something about the other person that I didn't know about. And yeah, so what do you do in those circumstances where everything just crashes and burns and this other person who was supposedly your entire life suddenly leaves it because of a complication of some kind? There's only one thing that lasts, guys, and that's the love of Jesus Christ. That's the truth. That's the one thing that doesn't go away, is the love and peace that God gives you through Jesus. So that way, when you go through moments like that, where you go through the worst breakup of your entire life, you're distraught, you're crying your heart out, and your heart's so shattered and broken, what else do you have to go to except the source of joy, the source of peace? And that's, of course, Jesus. Right? So, if it wasn't for Jesus, I wouldn't have gotten out of those circumstances well at all. I don't even know where I'd be right now if Christ didn't help me get out of those circumstances, if I'm being honest with you guys. But what's good about those circumstances is that they teach you two things. Number one, what things to look out for and to not do again. And number two, how you can rely on God in those circumstances. Right? Had I not gone through those circumstances, I would have known the depth through which Christ loves me. You know, I wouldn't have been able to learn how much I really need to depend on God for everything. Right? For me spiritually, for me mentally, emotionally, like, He is my resource that I go to. You know, nothing wrong with things like therapy and counseling, things like that. Things like that are healthy because they focus primarily on mental health and emotional well-being and things like that. But eventually, it gets to a point where there's nothing more left to say. And the only thing that can bridge that gap, that can fully fulfill that void, is from a source that is everlasting, right? Your counselor is only one person. They're a finite person. They're a created thing, created person. God was never made. He is the self-existing eternal one. And within him is all peace, all joy, and all love. And those three things in him are eternal because he himself is eternal. That's his nature. Our nature is finite. There'll become a day where we'll just pass away from this world. You know, we have a time limit. But with God, he doesn't have a time limit. That's why when I go through these circumstances, the first person I go to isn't my counselor or my parents or my church friends or anything else like that. First person I go to is Jesus Christ. And the reason why is because he is the only one I know that will never fail me. Right? For those of you listening, maybe you've gone through family situations where maybe a brother or a sister or a mom or a dad, they consistently failed you. They consistently weren't there for you. They might have abandoned you. They might have not treated you like the proper son or daughter that you are. And because of that, you've built like this resentment in your heart towards other people. Maybe that's why you're always angry. Maybe that's why you're always bitter, right? But the reality we have to understand is that even people like our parents, they're just people. They're finite human beings that are just as flawed as everybody else. Even like, for example, for me, my mom is probably the most important person in my life that's not Jesus. She has done everything for me, guys. I'm talking like when I was looking for a college, she was there to help me with that. When I was looking for a job, she was there to help me with that. When I got my first car, she was there to help me with that, right? When I went through my worst breakups and heartbreaks and terrible emotions, right? She was there for me every single time. And yet, she was only able to help me in a temporary sense. Because she's just one person. She's just one human being. She's one of the most important human beings in my entire life. But as soon as that conversation ends and I vent it out to her and I poured everything out, she has to go and live her own life. And then what's left, right? So she's able to meet my temporary needs, but not my eternal ones. And that's why a relationship with Christ is so important. Because Christ never fails me. My mom, as beautiful as she is, can fail me. Because she's a human being. And we're all flawed, right? But God, He's perfect. He's beautiful. He keeps His promises. One promise that He says is, all who trust in His Son Jesus Christ, who gave His life for us and rose from the dead, so that all who believe in Him would have eternal life. That's a promise. He promises that He will not let us down. He promises that if we place our faith in His Son Jesus, that He will save us. That all of our sins that we've done against God, against others, against the people that we've loved, all those sins are washed away in an instant. All because of the sacrifice that Jesus did for us on the cross. That is a promise from God. So I know that no matter what happens to me, God forbid tomorrow I'm not here anymore. Something in life takes my life away. I know and am confident and have the hope that I will be with Jesus Christ for the rest of eternity. I'm so sure of this. Because I have seen in my own life, God keeps His promises. And if God keeps His promises, I know that He'll keep His promise to give me eternal life when I pass away. And what's beautiful about eternal life, guys, it never ends. That's something that never ends. Our life here on earth, that's something that ends. That has a time limit. All these things that we have, these resources, these finite things, one day these things will all pass away. And then what's left? Right? What's left is God. What's left is us. Our souls are eternal, guys. And our soul will spend the rest of eternity in one of two places. It's either heaven or hell. And I know that this is a frowned upon thing to talk about in today's society because nobody likes to hear about hell. Nobody wants to talk about judgment. Nobody wants to talk about punishment. But what's interesting about that is that when we talk about the justice system of our government, when we're talking about criminals that have done these vile acts against young women and against children and against family members and loved ones and things like that, we cry out and demand for one thing, and that's justice. So why is it that in a temporary sense, when it comes to other people, we cry out for justice, but when we look at ourselves, we don't cry out for justice? Why is that? Why do we pick and choose who deserves justice and who doesn't? Because if we're being honest with ourselves, all of us have sinned against God. All of us have sinned against God. Who of us have never told a lie before? A lie is a pretty big deal. How many of us have never lusted after another person before? That's a pretty big deal too. And the reason why is because every human being is made in the image of God. So by you lusting after someone, what you're doing is you're transforming them into an object that's used for your own pleasure, instead of a human being that was made in God's image. That's why God takes that stuff seriously. So why is it that we look at all these other criminals in the world and demand and cry out for justice, but we refuse to look in the mirror and realize the justice that we ourselves deserve? That's the big question. If we want to be consistent, logically consistent, reasonably consistent, we have to apply that same standard that we apply to other people who have broken the law to ourselves. And the laws that we have broken are the laws of God, which is do not lie, do not steal, do not commit adultery, do not murder, right? Jesus said if you look at a woman to lust for her, you've committed adultery with her in your heart. Man, that brings every man in the world to their knees. Every human being in the world has done that at some point. So what's the answer to that, right? If we're deserving of justice, then that means that we need to have some form of payment for the sins that we've done against God. And that payment has to be spent in an eternity in hell. But the reason we have to do that is because God is a just and good God. If God was not good, hell would not exist. And it's kind of like an oxymoron, because when we talk about hell, it's like, well, how can God be a good God if, like, he sends people to hell or whatever? But if you think about it, if God is a good God and hell did not exist, then he wouldn't really be good. If God didn't bring a righteous punishment for sins, then he wouldn't be a good God. In the same way that in a courtroom or a courtroom of law, if the judge clearly sees that a criminal is guilty for a crime that the evidence is very clear he actually did, and he decided to not punish the guy and send him to jail, what would you call that judge? Not good. Not a good judge at all. We cry out for justice. We cry out for redemption. Sometimes we don't get it in this imperfect world of justice that we claim to have. But with God, he is the standard of justice. He is the standard of what is considered good. So if God is always good, then he must always punish sin. So what's the answer to that? The answer to that is in Jesus Christ. Because God is not only a good God, not only is he a just God, but he's also a loving God. And he does not desire any single one of us to perish and to be punished for their sins. He knows that he must punish sin because he is a good and just God, but he also doesn't want us to perish because he loves us. So the only way for him to reconcile that justice and that love is to die in our place, which is what Jesus did. Jesus, being the Son of God, the begotten Son of God, came down in our likeness to take on human flesh for one purpose: to take all of the sins that we've ever done against God upon himself and take it to the grave. When Jesus died on that cross, that's exactly what happened. All of the sins that we've done against God, all of the sins that we've done against other people, against our loved ones, Jesus took upon himself on the cross. All the punishment for that sin, Jesus took. The wrath of God that was meant for us, Jesus took. The isolation, the separation from God that was meant for us in hell, Jesus took that. Jesus endured all of that. And then on the third day of his death, after his death, he rose again from the grave, which tells us one thing, that it's only in Jesus Christ alone that we can find life. That everything that Jesus said about himself was true. If you guys are skeptical about the resurrection of Jesus Christ, I encourage you to read the Gospels for yourself, to make that decision for yourself. The Gospels are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Those are the eyewitness testimony of the life, the death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. These are eyewitness documents of events that happened 2,000 years ago about one man. And that one man claimed to be God. He claimed to be the way. He claimed to be the truth. He claimed to be the life. He claimed that all who believed in him would never perish. He claimed that all who believed in him, their sins would be forgiven. He claimed that all who believed in him, he would give eternal life to them. If it's true that he rose from the dead, then all those things that he talked about was true. And I'm a living testimony that Jesus is the truth, that he is the way, that he is the life. I know that when I stand before God, none of my sins will be shown before him because Jesus took it all on the cross. And that kind of forgiveness can only be applied to you if you make that decision to place your faith in Jesus Christ. There's this concept out there called universalism, which says that because Christ died for the sins of everybody, that regardless of whether or not somebody decides to trust in Christ or not, they're just going to be saved regardless. Unfortunately, Jesus didn't teach that. Jesus taught, all who believe in me will not perish, but have eternal life. So if someone doesn't believe in the sacrifice of Christ, and that their sins are forgiven in him, salvation is not applied to them. God will not force somebody into heaven against their will. God has been gracious enough to give us a free will to make our own decisions. The problem with free will, though, is that that's a double-edged sword. Because you can choose evil, or you can choose good. You can choose God, or you can choose yourself. And if you choose yourself, you're deciding to put your trust on something that is flawed and that is finite. And to me, guys, I don't think that's wise. And I don't just say that just because it's my opinion. I'm just looking at that from an objective, logical, reasonable perspective. If we put all of our faith and trust in ourselves, people that make mistakes all the time, that sometimes lose control of our emotions, that sometimes hurt other people, I don't think that's wise. What is wise is putting your trust and faith in the one who is perfect, who is always good, who is always righteous, and that's God. All right? So if you're listening to this and you're unsure about this whole Jesus thing, look for the truth yourself. A lot of people in the world like to mock Christianity as just some kind of fairy tale, blind faith, or just believing in something that's made up. These are bedtime stories. But if you actually took the time to read the sources from which all of this stuff even comes from, what you will see is not only are they reliable sources of information, not only are they historically reliable, not only are they historically credible because of the sheer amount of copies that we have of all of these documents, but when you read them and you're truly seeking for the truth, I promise you, God will make himself known to you. And the reason I know this is because it happened to me. I know Jesus is true. Jesus himself said, if you ask, you will receive. If you seek, you will find. If you knock, the door will be open to you. What exactly does that mean? It means that if you're truly someone who's seeking for truth and understanding and to do the things that are right and good, Jesus will reveal these things to you because he himself is the truth. And the thing that he wants most is for you to be reconciled to him. That's what God wants. If you guys ever wondered where love came from, love comes from God. God is the source of love. So if you're watching this and you feel like maybe you've never been truly loved by somebody, Maybe you've lacked love from your parents or from your sisters or your brothers or your loved ones or your relationships or your wives or your spouses, right? The one true love that'll never disappear is the love of God, and that can only be found through faith in Jesus Christ. So I'll leave you guys with that. Please read the Gospels for yourself. Like I said, there's so much evidence for the reliability of the Gospel documents. And if what's written in there is true, that Jesus truly lived, that he truly died for your sins, that he truly rose from the dead, man, I know that when I die, I'll be in joy. I'll be in peace. In the scriptures, it's even written, at the end of the age, when Jesus comes to restore the earth, he himself will wipe away every tear from our eyes. There will be no more mourning, no more crying, no more pain, no more suffering, no more evil. And the only thing that will remain is joy, love, and peace with the Lord our God forever. So that's all I have to share with you guys. If you guys need anything at all, I'm here to help. If you want to leave a comment on the video, if you need prayer for anything, I can do that too. For those of you that are watching in the future, of course. Mr. T. Lowe joined and he said, late, but thank you for sharing the good word and for uploading the Spyro OSTs. You're very welcome. It's awesome getting to talk to you guys because, yeah, you guys are my followers. You guys are my fans, right? So, yeah, really appreciate that you guys stuck around to hear myself talk and to have a conversation. So, yeah, guys, right now it's 11:54 my time, and I have work tomorrow. So, thank you guys so much again. Hopefully the words that I spoke to you guys resonated within your hearts. And if you guys are looking for truth, if you're looking for peace, if you're looking for love, I promise you won't find something like that anywhere else except through Jesus Christ. The reason I know that is because I've seen it for myself. So, read the gospel accounts, read it for yourself, and then make your own decision whether or not what you're reading is true or not. So, cool, guys. Well, thank you again. Hope you guys have a blessed, awesome night, that you guys have a good week. And, yeah, take care, guys. Have a good night.